So just to preface, I've spent the last decade of my life being a home cook, okay? So I'm all like SpongeBob, right? I'm yellow, I have this hauntingly strange side profile, and when I get hungry for a little nibble, nothing stands between me and my fucking spatula. Except for one thing. Sourdough. See, making sourdough is the hardest thing that I will ever do. I have isolated myself in a room for 40 hours. I've eaten nothing but potatoes for a week straight. I watched all of Talk Tua in one sitting, and somehow none of it amounts to this. See, making a loaf of sourdough from scratch takes like 8 days. And you have to be involved in that process every single day. Perfect measurements, perfect temperatures, down to the gram, down to the Fahrenheit. And for some reason, I just can't do that, right? Don't get me wrong, I cook a lot, right? I love to cook, but I usually just measure with my whatever the fuck I want. Because who has the time to pull out all these spoons and shit, right? I have tried to make sourdough about a dozen times now, and I have failed every single time. But you know what they say? The secret ingredient is always love. And I love my best friend Cody very much. I don't say it enough to him for how much he supports me. Because I mean, like, he's really funny, so I bring him into a lot of my videos. He's smart, and he's kind, and he's always willing to share his wisdom. But above all else, I have a lot of precious memories with him. I've seen his personality, I know his little quirks. The smell of his house is nostalgic of high school, and he's an incredibly talented musician. I have seen, smelled, and heard him, and the only thing that would bring us closer at this point is if I tasted him. Okay, so here's the general idea. If I can get Cody to chew up flour and spit it into a bowl, then hypothetically I could culture his DNA and, most importantly, my love for him into a sourdough starter, thus making the first ever human fermented loaf of bread, and more importantly, my first successful loaf of sourdough. All I need now is a little saliva. So I invited Cody over to my house to record a video, but not the video that he thought we were making. I found a lot of TikTok life hacks. So essentially this video is, you're one of 3 people that I'm gonna get to try a couple of, So I gaslit Cody for like the next hour, just elaborately deconstructing this video that doesn't exist. And then after that, I made him do a bunch of weird random shit as to not arouse suspicion when I asked him to just put a wad of flour in his mouth. 3, 2, 1.
Yummy cereal.
And that wasn't a hack or anything, I just wanted to make you guys do that.
Censor that. That's horrible.
Okay.
Oh. How is this a whole video?
He has no clue. He has no fucking... He is being turned into a loaf of bread and he cannot do anything about it. Unless he, like, challenges me legally or something. Which, I mean, like, come back with a warrant. That's what it says on this shirt. Hey, wait, do you like this shirt? Have you ever wanted to wear a funny meme shirt without looking like a 13-year-old boy? Well, let me introduce you to Cool Shirts, the sponsor of today's video. So I fucking love these shirts, okay? Essentially, all of the clothes I wear in this video come from this brand. Like this crew neck that says unimaginable suffering. A tie-dye shirt about being chronically online. You be posting some dumb shit on God. I highly advise that you invest in these shirts, but maybe memes aren't your thing. Maybe you don't like being goofy all the time, and maybe you like wearing serious clothes. Well, it's a good thing they have a range of styles. Look at this. Boom! Heartbreak ring, death bracelet. They come in these cool little boxes. How could this get any better? 10% off! Discount code! Now just take a deep breath. Use my discount code kodekai for 10% off. Click the link in the description to visit their site, or you could scan this QR code. You don't have to, it's okay, you're in a safe place. Visit shirtswithaz.cool/kodekai. Buy the shirt, call cool cook shirt shark. Anyways, as soon as Cody left, I started unpacking all the things I bought for this project, and also I revealed to my roommate Alexa what I was actually doing. I got a Dutch oven bread baskets. I am going to be making a sourdough starter with this.
That's so twisted. That's so gross.
I then immediately got to work on making the sourdough starter. If you don't know what that is, first of all, you're a stupid, dumb idiot. Second of all, when you bake bread, you need yeast for it to rise. You can use instant yeast, but part of the process of making a sourdough bread is culturing your own yeast using only flour and water. The recipe I'm following calls for 150 grams of filtered water with a temperature between 20 and 25 degrees and 100 grams of whole grain or unbleached bread flour. We already have some flour and a little bit of other stuff in here. So I put it all together, gave it a good mix, and I left it in a tall jar overnight. Now this is where the real rigorous work comes in. If you don't know bread shit, then I'll explain for you really quickly. For about 7 to 15 days, I have to discard half of the starter and then add in more flour and water. Seems pretty easy, right? Wrong. This is the feeding schedule that I'm following. It was made by Joshua Weissman about like 6 years ago or something. It lays out the temperature of everything I need to be adding, the amount that I need to discard, the exact weight of everything in grams. It feels like I'm building a fucking bomb. But you don't really need to know all that shit. All you really need to know is that a sourdough starter is ready to bake when it's doubling in size between feedings. And you can tell when that's happening if you put a little rubber band around the jar to judge the levels as that, yeah. You can look up how the rest of this stuff works. I'm not gonna explain it to you. I can just show you what happened. On day 1, there wasn't a lot of action, but at this point, we're kind of expecting that, so I wasn't too worried. The same thing happened on day 2, but then after that is when things really started happening. We're on day 3 now. Look how much it's risen. It's alive! It's alive! I'm gonna pour out half of this, and then we're gonna feed him again, and I don't know, I'm excited. I mean, I didn't think I'd be a father this soon, but I gave birth to a jar of yeast. I could take him on long walks, I could watch TV with him, I could also literally break bread with him. But most importantly at this point, I had to name him. And I mean, like, look at him. His name is Goober, and to celebrate his consciousness, I printed out a picture of Cody as a label for the jar. He is the father that you never knew you had. And like my paternal instincts kicked in. Like I would take care of him, I would love him, I would break these generational cycles of trauma that— Goobert has been conscious for less than a minute and he's already gooed all over himself. And I also just realized I can't check the levels at all if there's paper surrounding the whole thing, so I might have to kill him. I'm gonna be a horrible dad one day, I'm just gonna say that. And you know what, maybe killing a baby might have sent some bad energy into the universe or something, because over the next couple days, Goobert was not growing very quickly. Day 3 turned to day 4 turned to day 5, you know how to fucking count. I went through 9 days of this. And like, I have no footage of this other than just like this 20-minute crash out I had on day 7. And the reason why I didn't get any footage was because I kind of gave up on this video. Like, I had hyped up this whole project for so long, only for nothing to happen. And like after 9 days, like how much longer can you really try? But I thought, you know what, fuck it. I'll wait a couple more days. I'll see what happens. And something happened. Okay, dude, I literally fell over a fucking washing machine trying to get my camera. But like essentially for the past while, the starter wasn't growing. I was really worried that I fucked it up again. But there was one thing I noticed, which is that my house is like abnormally cold, right? So I put the starter in this room that's labeled hot water tank because would you believe it, the hot water tank is in here and it makes it a lot warmer. And check this out. That looks like it's more than doubling in size. So I guess I'm making 11 tonight. I'm not gonna explain this whole baking process to you, it literally takes forever. I'm just gonna do a montage, so...
I can hear you shaking in your voice. That was the most scared gasp for breath I've heard in my life. I have never heard you this scared.
And now all that was left to do was to get him to taste it. I made a surprise.
A surprise? Bread! What kind of bread is it?
What kind of bread? Sourdough.
Sourdough, of course.
Close up on that. It's like Swiss cheese.
I advise you
Make some
don't
chowder.
eat too much of it though, because this was fermented with your saliva.
Whose? We all chew the flour, why just me?
You figured it out so quickly.
When else did you get my saliva? When I was sleeping?
Is it good?
It's bread, yeah.
I feel closer to you. Do you feel closer to me?
One could say that we've broken bread together.
You know what's so fucked? The script for this video, I wrote that line in. And I don't know if I can use it anymore.
A part of me is in this, my DNA. It has a right to live. I'm suing for custody.
Oh my god.
Hey, my name is Cody Lee Forsyth and I ate my baby.
We were having good laughs, we were having a lot of fun, but the most important question was, am I closer to Cody now that I've done this? Do you trust me more or less now?
Less.
Okay. Enough to compromise our friendship?
Yes.
Well, shit. That wasn't the main task, though. The main task was that I need to make a light, soft, airy, delicious loaf of sourdough. I do believe that this could withstand the blow of a sword. It's intact.
It's better than most bulletproof armor.
Dude, you could have won wars.
Well, shit. Okay, so I didn't get anything I wanted. But believe it or not, I think that there is something to be learned here. So in 1971, there was this astronaut, Edgar Mitchell, who was launched into space. And for the first time, he saw Earth from a place that few other people have. He would say later that what he felt was an intense global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. He experienced what is known as the overview effect. This is a term that exists because so many astronauts have felt this feeling. It's like a shift in perspective, right? Seeing the Earth from orbit and realizing how fragile, interconnected, and precious our planet is. Like the place where every politician, artist, mother, father, and child had ever existed, all sitting on this small blue marble. What Edgar realized in this moment is that we are all connected, that nothing matters more than how we treat each other. He wanted to grab every politician by the scruff of the neck, drag them out there, and just say, hey, look at that, you son of a bitch. And like, yeah, you can do what I did, right? You can say that love is the secret ingredient to making something like bread. Because the thing is that this concept of love, it's like, we say it so much, but it's such a grand thing, right? You can't just throw it in for flavor. It is the foundation, right? It's something that you can only behold when you realize that we are all working together. Because for me on this earth, like, it isn't about just loving one thing, right? It's learning to love it all while I still have the time to. Without virtue and kindness, nothing rises. Not bread, not friendships, not anything. Get home safe and stay kind, everyone.